Why not, you know? I gotta get closer to the complete finish of this game, I mean, you know? Gotta get this thing out of the way, you gotta have the trial that ends all trials, you know, that's gonna be the title of the final class trial. The trial that ends all trials. Because I am...
Okay.
Because I'm a boss, right? When it comes to being a boss, there's none other than me, because I am the biggest boss. And simply, I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far. Anyway, this trial is fake, so I'm not really sure how long this will last.
Let's begin with a
Definitely
basic
not
explanation of the
2
class
hours.
trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay, well, I'll leave the rest up to you.
Well then, let's discuss the
Very
specifics of the victim.
colorful trial grounds, a bit too colorful.
First, we need to clarify
For
who
this snitch.
exactly the unidentified victim is.
It's Kyoko. There's no other explanation.
But Kyoko's standing right there.
No, that's a ghost.
But she has legs and stuff.
Well, that's just because she's like the latest evolution in ghost technology.
There's a limit to how much ridiculousness I can tolerate.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay. So I just have to prove that the corpse isn't Kyoko, right? Then let's compare Kyoko's traits to the traits of the dead body.
Her traits?
What the fuck? What the fuck? I actually have no idea. Face or gloves? Let's go with the gloves.
I got it!
Yeah.
I'm
Bounce.
talking about her gloves. They'll give us some insight
Accident.
into the mystery. I'm sure of it.
In that case, I think it would be helpful if someone
What?
explains
Wait,
why
what?
she actually wears those gloves.
Wait,
And would you happen to know the answer?
In fact, Monokuma told me. Apparently you have scars on your hands you don't want anyone to see.
Oh! You know, now that I think about it, the corpse wasn't wearing any gloves, right?
They probably just got burnt up in the explosion. I'm not convinced. The ghost is just trying to fool us all.
Wow, what a snit dynamic. A ghost. Yeah. Okay.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion?
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
be a few of these, huh?
Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko!
This entire discussion is idiotic.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost!
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it! Prove she's not a ghost!
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion!
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion?
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
No,
Yeah, we're bouncing here, yes.
no. There's no way the corpse was wearing gloves. Whoever it was, they were wearing fake nails, remember?
Right.
I imagine trying to wear gloves over nails like that would have been a pretty big pain. Besides, Kyoko wears gloves to hide her hands, right? It'd be pretty weird for someone who's self-conscious about their hands to wear fake nails, don't you think?
Jeez, man, you don't know women, huh? They're complicated like that.
If anyone doesn't know women, it's you.
Well, Kyoko, any thoughts?
These gloves were custom made to the size of my hands to make sure they don't interfere with my daily life. If I wore fake nails, the gloves wouldn't fit properly.
Then that's that. The dead body doesn't belong to Kyoko.
Which should have been obvious since she's standing right here.
Okay, so then, who's the real victim? First, we need to figure that out.
That's the first thing I said. You're the one who's been dragging us around in circles.
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
Should be GG easy.
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
No, it's wrong.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
There was one clue left behind that we
You
can
first
use to
100%
identify
in
the
your
body.
life, huh?
Wrong.
What? For real?
Absolutely wrong.
If you're lying, you'll die a cruel and unusual
Oh, you got
death.
drilled there, idiot.
Absolutely
Oh,
wrong.
an unusual
Definitely
death.
not drilled.
This I
man.
gotta see.
She's just being stupid. Ignore them, Makoto. Tell us what you're talking about.
Got sauteed there, fag.
The key to figuring out who it was
The most wrong.
is the tattoo
Wrong
on the
has
back of
ever
her
been.
hand.
Oh, yeah. The design's pretty strange, huh? Is this a dog? Her master must have made her get it. To be like, you're my bitch.
Seriously? They really did something that humiliating?
No, that's not it. The identity of the victim is hidden within that tattoo.
Oh, really?
I got it!
Holy shit.
Fenrir Mercenary Corps. That's the name of the military group Mukuro Ikusaba belonged to.
Okay, so...
To show that they're a member of the team, each soldier that joins the squad would get a tattoo representing Fenrir somewhere on their body.
Fenrir?
About the clock.
Did you say to me?
Now I understand. The representation of Fenrir is a wolf.
Fenrir.
See how many
the wolf
bitches
of
you got in
It's from Norse
YouTube, right?
mythology. A huge, world-ending wolf beast.
Only Donald Trump.
He's the child of the trickster god Loki, and a female giant.
Man, after all this time, we finally got a glimpse of the literary all-star.
Honda.
A wolf tattoo. Then that means...
Exactly. The body we found had a tattoo of a wolf. Which means that person must have once belonged to Fenrir. So it must have been Mukuro.
What?
Hold on. Isn't she the one that was behind this whole thing?
You sound surprised,
Extreme
but
burn
you're
day.
absolutely right. Yes, indeed. The trial this time is to solve the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba.
Are you saying the mastermind is dead? And now we have to have a cool-ass trial?
No. It means we were wrong in thinking that Mukuro was the mastermind at all.
But I mean, being the ultimate despair seems like a pretty mastermindy title to me.
Maybe we shouldn't have been thinking of her as the ultimate despair in the first place. After all, looking at her profile, I didn't see anything that would fit such a description. All it said was that she was the ultimate soldier. If I remember correctly, that other information came from Kyoko. That's
Hey.
what you told Makoto,
Hey.
right?
Hey. I see a little tinny talking stint in chat. Alright. You better cease
That
that
means
snip before you
Kyoko
get
got it
your ass
wrong?
banned. GTA
And who was she? Who was Mukuro Ikusaba? She's been gone this whole time, and when she finally turns up, she gets killed. Usually when there's a scene where an important character dies, it has a lot more detail.
ass banned.
So you're saying she wasn't an important character? Which would mean she was the same as us. Just another participant.
Then, who's the real mastermind?
It must have been the Hope's Peak Academy headmaster after all.
No, the headmaster has nothing to do with it.
But how can we trust that? We already know your information about Mukuro was wrong.
My information was not wrong.
Okay. We're in the middle of a trial right now. Figuring out who killed Mukuro is first and foremost. Please limit all future prattle, chatter, and chit-chat as much as possible.
They got enough people in the International Autism Discord, you know?
Fine. Uncovering the identity of the mastermind will have to wait. But remember this. No matter what happens, we will find out who you really are. I stake my family name on it.
I have officially decided to completely ignore all such attempts at provocation. Now then, just so nobody's confused, let me state this one more time for the record. The reason we're having a class trial is because a murder among the students has
She's,
taken place.
Autistic enough to be in the
Hammer that point
the
straight to your
International
big old brains.
Autism Discord with sales. The
What you're
biggest
saying is that
numbnuts.
both the victim and the
Yeah.
culprit are part of the student body?
Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Wait, no! There's a chance that there's some mystery 17th person who's been hiding all along!
there's a chance the CNR Discord might actually be
Nope.
more
There are
autistic.
only 16 students in total that have been taking
Damn.
part in these events.
The International Autism Discord.
Seriously? Then one of us killed
How
Mukuro?
about that?
Who did it? Who's the killer this time?
That would be crazy.
Get a hold of yourself. We've already narrowed down the list of possible suspects.
Huh?
I'm sure you realize who I'm talking about, right, Makoto? Who the evidence points to?
I got it! You've narrowed it down to Yoko and me.
Yeah, Valerius,
Why do you say that?
Allow me
First
to
one,
explain. Just after
Big Lee
nighttime
Rabbit.
last night, I went to the garden, so I can confirm that at that point, there was no dead body there. So, the murder must have taken place after I left the garden.
Oh, actually, Ron likes Danganronpa for some
Hiro,
reason.
Toko, Hina, and I were in the gym the entire
Oh,
time.
he's probably watching his anime right now.
The gym?
That's right. The four of us were there trying to dismantle Monokuma. The whole time, we were very careful not to go anywhere alone. We even went
Wow,
to the
you
garden.
easily get Chesh in here by being the first one watching your shit.
I don't know.
All
I
of which
think
is
during
to
the
say,
first trial
the
we
four of
got
us
a
all
lot
have
of
alibis.
outside
The
bugs,
only ones
but,
without alibis.
I think the second one too, but since then been a pretty clean,
Are me
serene
And
snit.
Makoto. That's why you're able to narrow down the list of suspects.
I think Cash only
Exactly
really
so.
watched Ghost Recon Firelands or something.
How big is Wildlands?
I
don't
have something
know.
I'd like to say regarding the whole alibi thing.
Are you thinking of
The
raising an
download.
objection?
Oh, probably at least 50 gigabytes
Well,
maybe.
before that, I just
Really?
want to try and get a better idea of what time
think
the
so.
murder took place.
Cause I never
that, I
uninstalled
reveal some kind of
Wildlands. I
clue.
opened
Whatever you want.
UV Gate
Somebody
or
go
Play
ahead and
Wild,
help him out.
and it was downloading. It was the download of 770 gigabytes.
Me and Byakuya can both confirm
it's
that the
probably
body
70
wasn't in the
then, you know?
garden at...
It's a huge game, you know what I
Well,
mean?
it was after nighttime for sure. I'd say it must
How
have been
long
around
is-
10 o'clock.
I got a gift or something.
So
Cause
the murder must have
if I
happened
go
after
to
10 p.m.
NVIDIA Experience, it says
Then
Wildlands
I guess we
Gold
can say
Edition.
the time frame for the murder was between then and when
Need
we
to
found the body.
download more RAM for Snitlands, man, I tell ya.
Oh, but
I had two extra sticks of RAM, bro, and my fucking PC would not boot. It would get stuck on the
The one
BIOS,
who saw
and
the body first was Toko,
I was like, I
right?
googled it, and they're like,
She went to go get the pickaxe.
I just seen that you need the same RAM stick, the same RAM stick. The model of the RAM sticks. It could be different colors, but it has to be the same model
I
number.
got it! The body must
Yeah,
have been
that's,
discovered at 9 a.m.
pretty
Since
fucked,
that's
man.
when Toko went to get the pickaxe.
Gotta have the same, I don't know if it's DDR3 or DDR4, but gotta be the same RAM, you feel me?
It has to be DDR3, and it could be black, yellow. I'm gonna try to get some. I mean, I found out there's
he's
some
right.
bundles
It
that
had to be around then.
are really cheap.
So we can be totally sure the murder happened sometime between 10 at night and 9
I
in
didn't
the
know
morning.
they sold DDR3 RAM anymore.
For me, I was already asleep before nighttime hit. So I don't have an
Of course they
alibi
do.
after 10
Still-
o'clock.
People still buy DDR3 RAM.
Oh, I meant like, you know,
But I'm sure
in
I met up with
stores,
everyone
you
else
know.
before 9 this morning.
fuck off.
I got Micro Center, so
Fucking like
We
this.
ran into each other in the dining hall.
Well, I've never heard anyone
That was
that
around-
bought two
Oh, yeah.
different brand
Right around
pieces of
7:30.
RAM.
I remember checking right before I went in.
Or had them
I'm
laying
not sure
around.
about it.
Which
Mine's
means from 10
somebody
PM
just-
to 7:30
My uncle like,
AM,
hey,
you
try
don't
them
have
out.
an alibi.
It didn't work. I think they don't work at all because he tried it with his and the PC didn't even boot up at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't really try out a couple pieces of RAM that someone else gives you. Unless you says on it what it is.
Yep, hit or miss.
We've established a time frame for
Unless
the
it's
murder.
like some very old Kingston.
It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time. We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
Cox.
Shoot!
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time. We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night.
No, it's wrong.
Easy, easy. Wrong. Absolutely not.
Actually,
Nothing about
the murder
me
couldn't have happened
or a
anywhere near 10
hologram.
o'clock. It
Yeah,
had to have
kiss
taken
my
place
ass.
way later.
If I got.
And what makes you say that?
Because of the
Nobody wants
sprinklers in
to
the garden.
do shit like that.
Well,
The sprinklers are set to go off
could
right at
also do a
7:30
banana
every
goat, too.
morning, right? So if the body had been in the garden before 7:30, then it should have been completely soaked.
Oh, hold on! I remember this part perfectly. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? How? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet? How dare you spew such indecent words!
No, I'm saying that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
What do you mean? By denying the sprinkler, are you trying to deny my entire existence?
Man, you're totally wacko.
If you really think it wasn't the sprinkler, you'd better tell us why!
what is this, Snit?
I admit nothing. No, no, no! That's enough! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. No, no, no! That's enough! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I'm right about this. I admit nothing. No, no, no! Enough! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. No! It's enough! Are you trying to blame me? How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
That's wrong. Nice.
I admit nothing. I'm right about this. I admit nothing. No! How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
This should prove it.
That was perfect. Wow, GG. Not a missed snit whatsoever.
Just remember what the body was like after the explosion.
Fucking bouse.
And you'll see why it wasn't the sprinklers.
Sexy.
The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry. If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? What a brutal maniac! I'm so sick of her.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because...
You're wrong. Okay.
While the body was still on fire, I doused it with water. But only the part on fire, the top half.
Oh, then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
So if the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, then the murder must have taken place sometime after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
But Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
What the fuck?
In which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
Okay.
I'd just like to say one thing. If you vote for me and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever. Which is why I can't let that happen.
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
A trap?
We're this far into the game and now you decide to blame me?
Save frequently.
Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really
What's going on in the stream chat?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial, something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
Huh?
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting. I'm listening.
What's your clear?
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
I got it! You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would
What's
they
going
go to
on?
all that effort just to keep
Let's
the
go on the
body from
stream
getting
chat.
wet?
You guys better calm down.
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place.
It's like when Kekken kept getting 5-bit cheers, he kept saying, "Calm down."
In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
Fucking Kekken and DSP, but it's like.
Wait, something's not right.
And what might that be? By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
You know, the last word says Cash likes you. You should have guessed it. You should have guessed because of the name, and it's in Sylvaniac or whatever you want.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
I said hi in Japanese.
Of course it
I
didn't
said
get dirty.
Ron in Japanese, so Drago is Ron. Ron is gay. Mildew, so of course we know that. And then, yeah, the last one is just, you should have known.
Blues. Shit cuts.
The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
Wow, I have no idea. Shitcocks. Shitcocks.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is...
I'm surprised I haven't seen chat tank or heard tank.
Right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
Oh my god, I just tried a random thing that worked.
Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it,
I had
or
no
you might
idea.
get
It's
some
like a
on you.
stab in the dark. We gotta win.
If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Thus washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
More than that,
You
what if
ain't
the very
shit.
blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
Genius.
What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get something like that?
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
I got it! Could it have been chicken blood?
I'm a motherfucking genius.
Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around.
Who the hell is
There's
this
no
guy?
denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Chat. Guys, stop talking about sports. Talk about me.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body.
You also could be
But that's not what we saw.
restream DSP
Only
shit.
the victim's clothing had blood on it.
Yes.
The ground was completely clean.
Oh, Dave.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so. Wait, no. The head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping up. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off. But the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body, the coat they'd already covered in blood. This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred. They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
Well, there he is, little tank. It's Shoddy. Shoddy, the
If that's actually what
owner
took place,
of the
it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened
Autism
earlier.
HQ Discord.
Yeah, where is he from again?
He's from Estonia,
But
and
to pull all that off,
he called all finfags dick washers. How about that?
wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned
that
off?
fucking man.
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready,
that
so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Maybe, but still.
Oh look, it's another guy from the International Autism Discord. It's Wipe Me Down, I Dubstep Guy.
After you met up with Makoto in the
Another
dining
guy
hall,
from Estonia.
did you two stay
and,
together from that point on?
I'm pretty sure he also thinks that Finnish people are dick washers.
Oh no. I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
That's not...
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate.
Yeah, steady. Steady.
Well then, it looks like we're back to square one. Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it? Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
Oh!
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You gonna move to Estonia, little thing?
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right? According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back. So, what about it?
I moved to
pretty sure
Estonia
I've seen
if-
that knife somewhere before.
Only for one reason, but
That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
Well, this guy he doesn't get the show. I Dubstep Guy does not get the show. You don't get the show. How is that possible?
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah.
Then why did you hide that fact?
Fucking translator broke out me when typing in Estonian.
It's not that I hid it. It's just...
Big noob.
Suspicious! Very suspicious indeed. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto.
These fucking guys.
Totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
I bet Cash joined and saw Shotty type and then she'd like, time to bounce out.
Nah. I'm not sure that happened, but we'll see. Let's see what I do here.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
Let's see. Getting stabbed is incorrect. That's the one that's wrong. I know what to shoot at, I just don't know what the bullet is. Let's take a look. This controller's a piece of snit. As DSP would say, this controller's a piece of shit.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
I dust this guy. I heard that he loves, sales.
Gay.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed.
No, that's wrong.
Well, I guess since that's an all-new truth bullet, that must have been the real answer.
Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro. That should be clear from the description of the cover-up we just heard.
Lies! We never talked about what killed her!
We got two Sam Agates in chat right now.
No, don't you remember?
San Andreas Mafia.
The killer covered the dead body with the tarp, and then put the bloody coat on it, right? In other words, the victim never
Wait. I dubsteps and this other idiot are fucking Sam?
Yeah, they're insane.
Okay, fine. So what?
Wow, what a bunch of faggots.
So,
Oh,
when we discovered the body...
Oh, that. They got recruited by
the knife had been
the
thrust
most
through
warrant
the coat,
ganag in
along
the
with
history of CNR.
Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed in
And I
Tokyo
thought
was
that
gone,
was full of
and
Borat.
she was already dead at that point.
Well, it kind of is, but not as bad.
Obviously, the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Yes, iDubstep guy is
Maybe you stabbed her twice.
definitely
Once to kill her, and once to cover it up.
Listen here, Shotty, you youngin', alright? You don't know how bouse and diminutive and dominating DNH was.
I got it! The Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
Oh yeah, it sure did. Totally forgot about that.
Then the knife...
was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer. They probably stabbed her to draw attention away.
I think I
from what
misjudged how
actually
long
killed her.
this trial was supposed to be.
I very well misjudged
Exploding the
it.
body afterward was probably meant to do the same thing.
Like your love life.
Wrong.
The explosion
Okay.
severely damaged the
Put
body,
some strong
making it
respect on my
impossible to
name,
know
man.
what really killed him. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body
I'm
afterward.
still doing Baus though. I've only got one incorrect
They meant
answer,
for us to
alright?
latch onto the knife as the cause of death,
So
then
that's
destroy
pretty
any
much
evidence proving otherwise.
99% accurate.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kind of goes back to the beginning, but what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
No, your computer iDubstep guy got taken
If you
over by
bothered
Sam
to put that lump of
Keybines.
gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
Maggots.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle caused an atomic level spontaneous combustion!
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Go ahead, Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
I got it! After the explosion,
What?
we found a tiny fragment
Yeah,
of
there's
something
Sam
on the ground
Keybines on your
above,
computer,
right?
man. That's what RT Polygato automatically
That fragment reveals the cause of the
installed
explosion.
in your PC, man.
Huh? You know, I feel like I've seen something like it somewhere before.
Your PC is now corrupted for being
That's only natural.
a
Because, of course,
Sam member. Okay.
we saw the same thing when we dismantled Monokuma. It's part of a bomb.
San Andreas Mafia. You should have joined Dot, man. I mean, Dot is a much
Then the
better
explosion was because of the Monokuma bomb.
We don't want those kind of guys.
Anyway,
They're dumb.
the culprit's motive is becoming more and more obvious by the minute.
Then again, Eustace
They wanted the knife wound to
and
look like
Rexter
the fatal
don't
injury
play,
so
so,
that
yeah.
we'd suspect Makoto.
That's the kind of
And
stuff.
the only one who would benefit from that is the only other possible suspect.
He has a girlfriend, a job, and I think Justice is already a dentist, doctor, something like.
Hold on
Okay.
a second, Byakuya.
The guy in the Superman outfit
What's the
is a
problem?
dentist. EG.
Well, I just feel like we need to think this through. We still don't know what actually killed the victim.
Need to clean my teeth.
That's true. It's definitely bugging me. What really killed her?
Fine. I have no problem with that. Let us continue the debate. It won't change the facts of the case regardless.
You know, he never liked me.
Who?
Justice.
Well, he was right. He was correct. To not liking you.
Some reason they never got
Shall we
along.
Continue the debate. The victim's
Where's
fatal
Eustace
injury
from?
has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion
Lithuania.
didn't kill her for sure. I guess.
Possibly.
Well, yeah. She was
That could
already
be the reason
totally
why.
dead when that happened.
And it wasn't
Maybe
even
she's
because
not
of the knife,
into
right? And then
open
there's only
Lithuanians or
one other
whatever.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, whatever. They're both not
According to
into
the
open
Monokuma
Lithuanians.
file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Shitcocks. hit in the head is probably correct, even though it's wrong.
Then shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
Oh,
No,
yeah! Ows! Yeah! Get at me, you punk. Yeah!
Mukuro
Take
died
that.
because of the blow to the back of the head she suffered.
What about the wounds all over the rest of her body? They didn't have anything to do with it?
The Monokuma file
Yes.
makes it clear that those weren't fresh wounds.
Oh yeah, good point. If they were old, I guess they don't really matter.
Okay, then we're safe in assuming the blow to the back of her head is what killed her.
But then, what was the murder weapon? The Monokuma file says she was hit with a blunt object, about as thick as a metal pipe.
Oh, I bet it was the pickaxe!
How is that even possible? If you hit someone with that, it'd cave their skull in completely.
Well, maybe they held it the other way and hit her with the handle.
No way! The balance would be all off. You wouldn't be able to swing it with any kind of power. I wouldn't mind testing it on you if you want.
No thanks. I bet you just hit me with the metal end and call it an accident.
I'd love to scoop out that nasty brain of yours, throw it on the ground and spit on it.
I feel the same way. Looks like we're on the same page this time.
Seriously?
That's a good one.
We want to figure out what killed her, right? It just so happens we already know.
We already know? I knew we could count on you, Master.
So what was it?
Go ahead and tell them, Makoto. Surely you've deduced the real murder weapon?
Fuck shoddy. Fuck dubstep. Or part of the playing CNR right now trying to fucking get money without you being.
What the hell?
You remember the times that we played with Belaris and CSGO? Every time he killed team somebody, he'll get kicked and then he will rant about it in IRC saying that we kicked him from the...
And that something was the titanium arrow we found in the locker in the dojo.
Arrow. That's what the culprit attacked Mukuro with?
Indeed. There's no doubt about it.
Are you sure? That sounds kind of weird. Hey! How dare you backtalk, Master? You have no right! I'm not backtalking anything. I'm just saying what I think.
Secrets. What would this be?
The titanium arrow. It was in the dojo locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
Are you sure?
You don't sound convinced. What's the problem?
Well, because in the Monokuma file, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe, right? It seems like an arrow would just be too thin. Talking back to Master! You have no right!
The titanium arrow. It was in the dojo locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
Are you sure?
don't sound convinced. What's the problem?
Well, because in the Monokuma file, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe, right? It seems like an arrow would just be too...
No,
Yeah. On and on, we're owning. Yeah.
you're right. Just the one arrow would have been too weak. That's why the killer used another weapon.
Sam.songslord.com.
Another weapon?
That is
Inside the dojo locker, we also found a balled up wad of duct tape.
Bigly D.
The killer probably uses duct tape to bind multiple arrows together. Bundling them together using the duct tape would easily create a single weapon as thick as a pipe. And that's exactly what the killer did.
It's similar to Aesop's fable about the bundle of sticks. One stick is weak, but put them together, and they become strong. It's meant to teach cooperation.
Damn, that's harsh.
How is it harsh? Were you even listening?
Anyway, that explains the murder weapon. As for who the culprit is that stashed the weapon in the dojo locker, it was you, Kyoko.
I've never been to the dojo.
Yes.
Oh no, you absolutely have.
How can you say that with such confidence?
Because we have proof, of course. Don't we, Makoto? What's the matter? Surely you don't intend to protect a murderer. You know what will happen if you do, don't you? If you cover for the culprit, there's only one thing that can lead to. The death of us all, remember?
Of course I remember.
Then show us. Show everyone the evidence that proves Kyoko went to the dojo.
I got it! The one thing that proves Kyoko was in the dojo is
99% accuracy.
right
Yeah.
here. The key to the dojo locker.
And how does that prove anything?
Because I found
You're
it in your
100%
room.
yeah.
It was in my room?
Don't bother trying to play dumb.
Wrong.
That key is just the final piece of the puzzle.
You're 100%
Your
ye.
non-existent alibi,
You
your
faggot.
clear motive, your attempts to frame Makoto for the crime. This all proves that you are the true culprit. You can't explain this away, so just give up.
Hold on a second.
Not this again. You really are dead set on defending her, aren't you?
No, it's not that I want to defend her. It's just... there's one more thing I need to ask her. Kyoko, I want you to tell me something. Last night, you were in my room, weren't you? Why? What were you doing there? That's what I need to know.
I was just protecting you.
What?
That's enough. The time for idle chatter is over. A verdict is close at hand.
Wait. I'm warning you. Don't make this mistake. I'm not the killer.
I knew you were stubborn, but this is just getting ridiculous.
Really? But you should know better than anyone I didn't do it. Can you tell me I'm wrong?
I should know.
What's this snip about?
Those words you just spoke. What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand that more than anyone here.
Byakuya, what are you hiding?
Master would never hide something.
There's proof that you aren't the culprit. Is that what you're saying?
You stated a theory earlier. You said I hid the evidence of my crime in the dojo locker, and then left the locker key in my own room, correct? But could I really have done that?
Sam.songslord.com is cool. Gay. Absolutely not.
Those words you just spoke. What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand.
Byakuya, what are you hiding?
Master would never hide something from me.
There's proof that you aren't the culprit. Is that what you're saying?
You stated a theory earlier. You said I hid the evidence of my crime in the dojo locker, and then left the locker key in my own room, correct? But could I really have done that?
Well, I know what they're talking about. Huh? Oh, yeah, definitely shoddy. See, someone understands the show. Alright?
Those words you just
Shit
spoke.
cocks, man.
What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand that more than anyone here.
Byakuya, what are you hiding?
Master would never hide something from me.
There's proof that you aren't the culprit.
Yeah! Yeah! GG easy, man.
If I'm right, Kyoko wouldn't have been able to get into her room.
It's a mug Christie Edgemaker.
Huh? Why not?
Because she had given her room key to Byakuya.
I see. So that's what you meant. And if I had the key to your room...
Then obviously I had no way of getting
I
in.
swear I'm not looking at guides at all. I'm not a guide faggot. Only fags look at guides.
Without my room key, I couldn't have possibly put the locker key in there myself. Am I wrong?
It would appear not.
Then you're finally starting to understand.
You say that as you open up Google.
I did not open up Google. Definitely not. couldn't even cover the entire screen. BG. This is the right decision, right? Oh, yeah, it is.
Well, does no one have a rebuttal? Have you decided to accept her assertion as fact? I see. So you still refuse to accept it. I suppose we have to admit that Kyoko didn't put the locker key in her room. That it was someone else.
But who else could it have been?
I mean, Byakuya had a room key, right?
You! What are you trying to imply?
But of course, I have an alibi. From nighttime on, I was with you guys the entire time.
Paul Pierce playing
I couldn't possibly have killed anyone, or put the key in Kyoko's room.
Well, someone had to put the key in there.
There's only one other possibility I can think of. Someone could have had the key on them, then once they arrived at the scene, pretended to find it there.
What? It had to be Makoto, right?
I don't see any other option.
Wait a second. You've got it all wrong. Let's think about it one more time.
Guess what?
There's gotta be a hidden side to this case.
Huh? A hidden side?
First of all, there's something off about this entire trial. You all see it, don't you? Mukuro, who we didn't even know existed, suddenly shows up dead, and then we're thrown into a trial. And Kyoko even said, it's a trap the mastermind set for us. So that's why this has to be...
Okay, time's up!
Huh?
Time's up! Class trial's all over! Everyone can stop talking now!
What? Time's up?
What do you mean time's up? There's no time's up. Since when have we...
It's because you were late, so we had to push back the start time. So then, it's time for voting time, okay? Everyone, please vote using the lever in front of you!
Voting time?
Well, this was the fake trial. Hey, I got an A, yeah. Kiss my ass, you punk.
Now, who will be chosen as the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
Hey, hold on!
Anyway, Mug, if this guy named Mug is, my bitch, is still here.
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
You know, all you gotta do is read the text, bro, and you'll know what the game is about, okay? Because, you know, Borats are, they're visual learners, right? So, Borats don't read, but if Borats read, they'll understand.
Borats could read, they could do their war. Oh, I say
That'll be true. That'll be completely true.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Hey! Shing! Thrills, chills, kills!
don't expect you to forgive me. I know this is all my fault.
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
This is...
It would seem...
What the heck?
In other words... Calm down. In other words...
What did you say?
So...
This is concrete. Excellent. I think finally is a good time to cut this off. There goes the fake trial. The fake 5th class trial of Danganronpa. Trigger Happy Havoc. Next time will be the trial to end all trials. The final class trial of Sam's history. And that does it. So for all the Sam members out there, Sam sucks. In peace.